As a vintage knitter, I have accumulated a very vast collection of vintage knit patterns. Unfortunately, I don't have all of the time in the world to knit every single one of these garments. But also, I don't want them to lie somewhere in the dark corner of a wardrobe, just never to see the light of day. I really want people to get inspired by these knit patterns, and hopefully some of you will even knit some of these. I've decided that every single month I will be curating a small collection of vintage knit patterns that I really want to knit, or I'm just truly inspired by. At first I was thinking it should be maybe like top 5, or well, I couldn't find 5 because I found more. Every single time that I look into one of my vintage patterns, I'm saying that this is a perfect vintage pattern for this month. For month of February, I have chosen very specific vintage patterns that I really wanted to knit in February. We're gonna start with something that I wanted to knit. Well, I guess I want to knit every single one of them, but this one I really wanted to knit, especially when I went to one of the stores and I saw such a beautiful cardigan. It was like a dark green, forest green color. And I was like, I really want to knit something, but vintage inspired, not a modern cardigan. I want a vintage fingering weight cardigan. Also, that is a matching set. I did find a pattern for this, and one of them is a Raglan twin set. There are 2 options that you can get with this one, but they're pretty similar in construction. With these patterns, you get a jumper and a cardigan. If you love vintage fashion, you definitely really want to have something like this. This is the most common thing that you should own if you're inspired by vintage fashion. I truly think that this is very simple. There is no color work. You can always do some color changes if you want to. I did find a couple that had color changes. I might not do that, but who knows? Maybe I'll add some colors, who knows? But I really wanted to make the cardigan and then the jumper because I feel like it's just such a beautiful statement piece. I love the fact that it's just so simple, and it is a raglan, so you do knit it in the round. I'm not sure whether the cardigans knit in the round. I think it's back and forth, but you can still knit it in the round if you do some steeking. I really love how fabulous and elegant it is, and I really want one. And of course, I want one in dark forest green, please. Maybe some color work changes, I don't know, we'll think about it. I might make it a bit special with some embroidery too, but this one's perfect even for those that really don't like embroidery and color work. I would go with something like this. And this is a perfect February piece just because A, you get a cardigan. That's very much February and March, and also you get a jumper that you can also wear throughout spring if you just take off the cardigan, and if you want to, you can just wear the cardigan with something else underneath. It's just perfect. And you wear them together too. I just want to make one. That's why I included it, because I want to make it. I feel like the one that is fully buttoned. This one is like half button up, which is also lovely if you want to show off the jumper underneath. This one is a Raglan twin set, and I love it. One of my go-to. This wouldn't be a channel without a mention of mine, and it is a Fair Isle vest. Winter months are perfect for vests, and I am also wearing one. No, this is not the one that I knit, but this is a vintage vest, and it is Fair Isle colorwork vest. Every single person that loves vintage fashion should own something like that. Either they make it or they buy it. I bought this in a vintage shop, and this is actually from United Colors of Benetton. It was ages ago, so they were called Benetton then, which shows how old this is. And 100% wool, love it, 2 bits. Wear it all the time. When I found this perfect pattern that is called, I believe, Fair Isle vest, I instantly was like, this is perfect. It's in color work. The color work is so beautiful. You don't have to knit it in these colors particularly, especially if you're not a fan of these colors. You can change the colors. This is how a Fair Isle color work would have been done. It is perfect as a Fair Isle, or you can just do a small piece of color work, or you can just knit it as a one color. Options are, again, vast. I like the fact that vintage pieces are so versatile. You have so many options to choose from. This one is just such a beautiful inspiration. Also, if you want to knit this one in particular, this one comes from A Stitch in Time. The whole book has so many things going on, but I feel like for month of February, piece that you can wear on and off, vests are just wonderful. And throughout also spring. A beautiful piece of vintage fashion that I feel like everyone should own, and I own like a lot of vests. I love vests. I cannot stop telling people how I love vests, because look, I'm wearing something underneath and I'm showing off the beauty of that beautiful garment underneath, but also I'm wearing something at the top, which is a vest. And also you can like pin something to the vest. There's like a little brooch. There's just so many things. You can wear a vest with the pants. You can wear a vest with the skirt. You can do whatever you want. You can take it off if you don't like it. And the beautiful thing about vests is that you can knit it fully in itchy or non-itchy wool. It actually lets you wear something underneath because it's a bit, bulkier. I'm quite sensitive to things directly on my skin. I'm wearing something underneath, a turtleneck, and it's not itchy at all. If you're not a fan of like cardigans or jumpers, because they're directly on top of your skin, some of them, vests. And also the fact that you don't have to knit the sleeves. I'm just gonna constantly tell people that vests are the way to go, and we should constantly bring vests and waistcoats back. That's gonna be the channel for those that really appreciate vests, and I'm one of them. This is a perfect pattern if you love vests and color work or just vintage fashion. Another thing that I cannot live without are flowers or embroidery, any type, especially that is a flower embroidery. I have been telling you about the cardigan and the jumper set, and they're quite simple. It's just a stockinette stitch. And what about if you want something more special and just a bit more challenging for those of you that are like me and don't like super simple things and really want the over the top? Again, another statement piece. Well, I will present to you one of the wonderful patterns that I have found. It's a bit old. I feel like this pattern had seen some things, but it still doesn't make it any less loved. It is another twin set, actually, but this one's a lot more fun. This twin set, I'm not sure what kind of stitch this is, but I really love that it is like a square pattern. You get the stockinette stitch and then some like bumps that actually create squares throughout the cardigan. And then of course, if you want, you can embroider throughout all of the squares if you're super determined, but this one has embroideries only throughout closer to the button band. Also, the buttons are very cute. You can do actually crochet buttons if you want to. There's again so many different options, different types of flowers. You can emit the flowers. You can, again, do it in a stockinette stitch if you want to. You can do it in different stitches, but this is great because it's so cute. And then the jumper underneath also has cute flowers, so it kind of coordinates again. I really love the fact that you can just do so many different things with it. It's just so lovely. I really love the whole style. Even though the pattern has seen things, it still doesn't make it less loved, as I said. I think these are actually daisies. That's so cute. I think they are. The jumper has like very cute puffy sleeves, and I really love vintage fashion for the fact that it has a cinched waist. It gives you that beautiful silhouette that I am a fan of. And again, because it's a set, you can wear the jumper separately to the cardigan. You can wear the cardigan and the jumper together. You can button it up, button it down, let it without any buttons. So many options. And if you don't like any of these options, you can go to the simpler ones that I have told you before that. There was just so many different inspirations when it comes to vintage fashion, and that's why I love it so much. And this one is just wonderful, just called Twin Set by Best Way. Just a beautiful pattern. Maybe you're knitting something right now and you're not sure whether you're a fan of it. Add some colors, add some flower embroidery. You can just do whatever, go crazy, go and have fun. That's what I say. And yes, this is just a beautiful pattern too. I love black and white vintage patterns, but I feel like one of the things that is lacking is, because I'm a visual person, I would instantly fall in love with something that has colors. Because if it's a black and white, I just don't understand what it is, what it's supposed to be. I can only imagine, and then I have to read it in the pattern. What was the color that it was planned? Just loses me. When I saw this pattern, it has a color on it, and I just really love the color, and I would never think that I wanted something like this in this particular color. As soon as I saw it, I was like, this is the pattern for me. I really want to make it in this particular color. I'm copying it from the pattern fully, but it's just made me so happy. And I feel like the model also looks so beautiful. I really wanted the same one, and it's just perfect. Also, it's a bit more fun. It's kind of like a cardigan, but it's also a fun cardigan. I guess today we're just talking about cardigans. For some reason, it kind of worked like that. Cardigans are go-to vintage piece. But also this cardigan, again, you can wear it something underneath it. It doesn't actually have a jumper that you can knit. Add a bit of cabling and then you're done. Actually, I should introduce it. So this one's just called Ladies Cardigan. But look at this pink color. Oh my god, it just pops. Come on, can we just talk about this color and how beautiful it is and how beautiful this cardigan is? Have you seen such a beautiful cardigan in your life? I really love the fact that it has like little, as if it has a shirt underneath, but it doesn't. Just so cute, the little triangles here. And then it is cable knit. You can not knit it in cable, or knit it in cables, or knit it in something different. But I feel like it just looks so beautiful with the cable knit. I really love the cable knit. It's a bit different to what I did on my previous waistcoat. That's interesting. And again, you can embroider inside of the cables if you want to, if you're super determined. Again, just making it a bit more special is what I love to do with my garments. And this one is just so beautiful in pink. You have some accents all around if you want to. Bet she's having a wonderful time. I really want to look like her. Look how fabulous she looks. I want to be like her. Like, come on. This is just, oh my god. She is serving all the vibes. I love it. Now, again, because I love collecting vintage patterns, one of the things that I have been collecting the most is a magazine called Stitchcraft. As a vintage magazine, it was super popular, and I really have a lot of those, especially through the 50s and a bit of 40s and also a bit of 30s, which are very fun. Patterns that I have selected today are a bit inspired by 1940s, 1950s. I think one is like 1930s. I guess it's a cardigan day, but I just really loved it. I'm giving you the options in case you have one of those patterns already. There's a lot of different places that you can find these. So one of them is January 1953 magazine edition. This is the pattern that I wanted to tell you about because, well, first of all, it's green. Beautiful color. Again, I'm the person that gets inspired by the colors. Except if I love, the color work on it, then I can like work around the colors and I can like think of different colors if I want to. But this color is just so beautiful. I think it's more of a sea green, which is also very beautiful. This one is a bit more exciting than the first cardigan set that I have shown. This one's not a set, but can be done as a set. This is just a cardigan, and I think it has a rib stitch going all around. So if you already know how to do a rib stitch, it doesn't actually have a ribbing at the bottom because it's fully a rib stitched cardigan. And I haven't seen a lot of these. These are quite fun actually, like especially if you are not sure about the sizing and you're thinking maybe it's not going to fit me as much, rib stitches are actually wonderful because like it can stretch, do the opposite of stretching, unstretch, just look fabulous. Also the fact that it has lines going through, even though they're not very visible, it's simple to do, but also visually it looks a bit more complicated than it actually is. And that's what fashion should be. Like, you know, you look at it the one way, it's complicated, you look at it the other way, it's simple to make, and you go with it, and then people still compliment you. It's wonderful. Just a very beautifully made cardigan. Again, fully buttoned. I guess I was just very inspired on wanting to make something for myself that is a fully buttoned cardigan, so every single one of my choices was leaning towards that. And I didn't even notice it before I started filming. Like after I started filming, I realized it. But that's how it goes on this channel. We realize a lot of things. So Stitchcraft is a wonderful pattern. Now, when it comes to a month of February, Stitchcraft also has released a edition. I love that about them because it makes my job a bit more easier. The next pattern that I have found is a Stitchcraft's February 1950s pattern. Actually, it's not this one. There are two patterns that I actually found that I really loved. One of them is clothes and one of them is accessories. We haven't talked about accessories yet, but as soon as I saw this Stitchcraft magazine edition, I really loved looking at what she is wearing here on the main cover. Like at first I thought that maybe these are crochet pieces, or I don't know, I couldn't figure out what they were made out of. But then as soon as I was reading the pattern itself, it was actually moss stitch. So it was knit using a moss stitch. I used it on my previous waistcoat. I have knit out here, which is a 1940s Hollywood Comes to Broadway waistcoat, and it also uses moss stitch all around the rib, but these pieces actually use moss stitch throughout the whole piece, which is very exciting. Moss stitch is a very fun stitch actually, so I would recommend this. This pattern is actually lovely. It lets you knit bonnet, mittens, and also a bag. If you knit every single one of these, whatever I told you, and then on top of it knit something like this, well, for the month of February, you definitely need all of them. So this is just perfect. You get all of the accessories that you want to, and then you look super fabulous as if you're from 1950s. Beautiful. And I really love the colors too. So again, just so cute. I really love how there's like a bit of like stitching going on as if it was sewn, but it was like sewn with like big stitches, as if it's like a toy. I don't know why it like feels like a toy. As if it's from Toy Story, it was made for dolls, and then it was like enlarged for a human being. Like it kind of feels a bit like Barbie. I actually don't know how it's called. Because I haven't really talked about any sweaters, I have decided that it's time to find a sweater that will be perfect, because February, we come from the month of December, and of course what we love to wear through the month of December are sweaters, and also through the month of January, and then of course February, the last winter month. You wouldn't really want to wear something that is super Christmassy inspired, but you still want something that has a bit of motifs going on, a bit of like snowflakes going on, and I really love that in the month of February, this sweater was the inspiration. It's a perfect, cute little sweater. It has very pretty floral motifs, and it is only at the yoke of the sweater. If you are only starting as your first color work and you really want to add a bit of spice to your knitwear, but you don't know where to start, floral motifs, even small ones, are the way to go. That's how I started my color work. I just added like a couple of conifer trees on one of my cardigans and I really loved it. But this one is just fantastic. It was so beautiful. Look at her. I feel like everyone should have just one sweater at least. Sweaters are great. I don't have as much sweaters, but I do love wearing them. I also love layering them with my vests and also waistcoats. Again, giving you a bit of ideas there. It's just so lovely. It's just so simple actually. This pattern is just two colors. It has a bit of like a transition going on. You can do just a simple line that separates the yoke and the main body of the sweater, and it's okay. Changes the colors, it's fine. I really love how this one did it because you don't drastically change from one color to another. A feral motif that's going on. A bit reminds me of the snowflakes, which is just wonderful. And then you go to the different color, which is fully knit in stockinette stitch, and you don't have to think about it too much. And there's just a bit of motif going on. But the color change is just so beautifully done. I really want to constantly talk about this book because every time I look at it, I find a new pattern, and I feel like a lot of people already know what I'm talking about, but I'm still gonna introduce it as this lovely book. Come on, it's like I can't stop smiling. This is just so great. And I truly love it. See how much excitement it gives me as soon as I just look at it? That shouldn't happen, but it does. I'm so excited. I wish I had all the time in the world to knit from this book every single day, but I don't, which is good because it doesn't have a lot of patterns and I don't want to finish them as soon as possible. But if I can knit like 2 or 3 patterns a year, that would be awesome. The book is Timeless Tyrolean knitwear. It has so many wonderful patterns. Of course it is inspired by the Tyrolean. As soon as I saw this beautiful, oh my god, it's a goat. On the topic of simple to make but not so simple when you look at it, this is a wonderful thing. Actually, it's called a coat, a Tyrolean coat, which is, you know what? You also need a coat. Obviously, it doesn't actually wear as a coat. It looks a bit more as a cardigan again, but it's just so beautiful. It's very simple, I think, to make. Because again, it's a rib stitch, but it's not 1 by 1 rib stitch. I'm not sure how many they are, but it's just very smartly done. At the end, when it's finished, you kind of tie some of the ribs together and it makes like as if there's like baubles going on. It looks as if it's very complicated, but it's not. Pattern is called June Clyde Sets a Fashion. June Clyde is an American star. So at that time, at 1936, when this pattern was released, June Clyde was an American star. And this is just lovely that there are so many patterns that are featuring these American stars or maybe British stars, and they are in these beautiful garments that were either inspired by them or knit specifically for them. Maybe they were involved in the whole knitting journey of this garment. So you don't actually know the story except if it is told inside of the pattern. Unfortunately, I'm not sure. I haven't read anything about this pattern yet, but I really love that in this book, Timeless Tyrolean Knitwear, the author actually includes the original pattern. If you want to, you can knit from the original pattern, and if you don't want to, you can knit from pattern that the author of this book includes. And it's just very helpful. There's just a lot of things that you can do using this book. And here's the original pattern actually. There's just a lot of things going on in this book that would be so interesting to read. I gotta read about this pattern a bit more, background information about this particular pattern before the actual pattern starts. That is just so fantastic that you learn a bit more about this pattern and maybe the inspiration behind it and all of the interesting things. It's just so beautiful. I really love the pom-poms. I love how the colors are, and it's just so beautifully made. And again, probably is very simple to make, but looks complicated from the first glance, and definitely will be a statement piece in your wardrobe. But I never seen something like this before. It is just so exciting. It has these like little elements to it that you wouldn't really think of in modern knitwear, because a lot of modern knitwear that I've seen are quite simple to make and just, I don't know, they don't have a lot of excitement to them. Let's make our knitwear just a bit more exciting. You can just splash some color into it, add a bit of embroidery, add a bit of like different things, maybe some stitching and rib stitches, some pom-poms, something cute, some braids. I don't know, there's just so many things, and I love the fact that in this book there's just so many different ways you can make your knitted garment beautiful. You don't have to constantly follow whatever the designer put or the book's designer have placed. You can have options. There's just so many places that you can get inspiration for and make the items more unique to yourself. And again, I just try to always tell people that you don't have to make this one particular garment, but you can get inspired, and that is what I'm trying to get to people to do. There is probably someone that is like me and just being super inspired by vintage but doesn't know where to start, and there's just so many places that you can start. It's not very expensive, I would say, to start knitting vintage garments. You can find very much free patterns on Ravelry that are either inspired by vintage or are actual vintage patterns. There's just so many places, and I love the internet. I will always love the internet. It was a bit of like a blab video where I have talked a lot, and I hope you got inspired from the selection of these patterns that I have given you. Unfortunately, it looked like all of the patterns were very much cardigans. Sorry, I guess I was just a bit more looking for a specific cardigan that I really wanted to make myself, but we'll see. Maybe one of these garments I will actually make in the future. Please look. Am I nodding? Am I actually, maybe I made one of them already, who knows? Look at the space, because I'm literally telling you that one of the garments that I did make, and there is one probably I'm planning to, but we'll see. Who knows? Keep an eye on my channel. I will definitely be sharing more of these monthly inspired knitwear garments. Hopefully I'll find a bit more crochet, but unfortunately I haven't found a lot of crochet vintage knitwear, except like maybe in the 60s, which I haven't been as much interested in, but I will try my best to find maybe a bit more crochet if you're interested in those too. But for now, these were the selections for the month of February, and I hope you liked all of them. If you are interested in the specific knitted garments that you really want to knit but you're not sure, not actually cardigans, because I have given you literally all of them were pretty much cardigans, but if you're interested in other clothing pieces that I have not mentioned here and you really want them to pop up in the next selection, I am very much happy to oblige and find a bit more of them in my collection and maybe give you a bit more inspiration for your future project in the future months. And I hope you have a wonderful time wherever you are in the world, and I hope you got inspired by these beautiful vintage knitted patterns for the month of February, and I will see you in my next one. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye. And I totally forgot to light the candles. I was planning it and then I totally forgot about it. Damn it.